Thanks, John. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lakeland School District Special Board Meeting. Today is Thursday, July 2nd. Mr. Secretary, please note 10:02 a.m. for a start time. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
Beneski,
Present.
Boyarsky, present. Brenzel, absent. Gallagher, absent. Morrison,
Present.
Roberts,
Present.
Solomon,
Present.
Sullivan,
Present.
Trimback Ball,
Present.
Dr. Wyatt,
Present.
Attorney Finucci, absent.
Please let the record reflect we have 7 board members attending, so we have enough for a quorum. We'll move forward. Executive session, we did not have any executive session since our last board meeting. Informational items. Dr. Wyatt, do we have any informational items?
Yes, several informational items today. The first is amendments to the agenda. These are all reflected in your printed agenda in your folder. The first amendment is to table motions 5A and 5B regarding the filtration project. Once we finish these amendments, I will share some information related to the bid opening yesterday at 3 o'clock and some of the discussion that was had following with the engineers and with DEP. The other motion to table is motion 5D. That is the purchase of the cafeteria tables. We do still intend to purchase cafeteria tables, but we're waiting on one quote that we think will possibly be more competitive, and we don't want to. We weren't able to get it in time for the meeting, so we'll table that for now until a later time. The other amendment to the agenda is just when we posted 24 hours prior, we did not have the finalized numbers. We've now, of the change orders, we now have those numbers, so we're going to need to do a vote to amend the motion to reflect those costs. Just for clarification, the vote to amend the motion is not a vote to approve the motion. It is simply a vote to amend the motion on the agenda, at which point, when we get into voting, there will be a vote to approve or reject the change orders. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Solomon to handle that part.
Thanks, Dr. Wyatt. So, again, there's one page we have. I'm going to make a motion here, but this motion, as Dr. Wyatt just mentioned, is to approve what's in the agenda. So, I'm going to make a motion to amend 5C to reflect the following change order amounts. First one, change order number 1, to mill and pave the upper parking lot and access road for $184,452.50. Part 2, change order number 2 to repair and construct the upper parking lot and access road as determined by the engineer upon removal of existing pavement for $41,450. And number 3, to change order number 3 to replace unsuitable base material as determined by the engineer upon removal of existing pavement for $74,020. Do I have a second? Second. On the question? Roll call, please.
Beneski,
Yes.
Boyarsky, yes. Morrison,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Solomon,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Trimback Ball,
Yes.
Okay. To amend motion C, that has passed, so it is on the agenda. Dr. Wyatt, do we have any other public comment?
Well, not public comment, but
Oh, I'm
information.
sorry.
Yeah,
Do we have any
informational
other
items.
informational items?
So one thing I wanted to clarify for the board and the members of the public present, change orders 1 and 2 relate to the upper parking lot area and the access road. Change order number 3 is related to in the front. After it was excavated, it was found that there were 3 areas in the front parking area that were soft. They were reported by the paving outfit to the engineer. They were checked, and those areas are going to need excavation, the $74,000 number reflects 2 feet of excavation and replacement of that material. However, they're going to take a foot and re-examine the underlying material. If it is solid after a foot, that number will be cut in half, and they will then, work up from there. If they get to that 1 foot and it's still considered too soft, then we're gonna have to go down an extra foot in that area, down to 2 feet. So this reflects a maximum of 2 feet, 2 feet of excavation in those specific areas in the front of the building.
Mark, I have a question.
Yes.
Where it says here, unsuitable base,
Yes.
is that when we tried to save money a few years back, and we put other,
GeoGrid? Yeah, so there's GeoGrid that's been pulled up in that area, and it was, I don't know how long ago, that was probably 10 years ago, right? Maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So I can't say that there's a definitive correlation, but to answer your question, new base was not put in there. There's a clear difference when you look at that parking area versus the driveway in terms of what's underneath. The driveway has
the
solid base.
correct stuff.
Yes, the geo fabric
yeah.
was put in there in an attempt to strengthen that area without excavating further.
I think we were told 10 years ago that this is not the thing to do, but it saves some money.
2017 it was? 17 years ago. Okay, so 17 years ago. But yeah, that came up in
Is
the,
that why it was, Joe? As a cost-saving measure? Yeah.
so there, yeah, to answer your question, there's geo material as opposed to strong base. So, so that's that third change order. And as we said when we first did this project, we had our base number. We know that when we pull up the pavement, we don't know what's underneath the pavement. I think it is a bit encouraging from the standpoint of just, what we see when it's up. That area obviously is a concern, needs to be addressed, but there's a large portion excavated, and that seems to be the only area at this moment where there's a significant issue. That doesn't mean that there's not the potential for further issues as we continue to excavate, but that's, it's we don't know until we have this pulled up. And I will just attribute to the upper lot, the reason for there being 2 numbers is, again, instead of putting on just a total cost per square yard to fully excavate, the top number is if they mill and excavate down to the base and the base is good, then it's only that number is the cost. However, if the engineer determines that the entirety of the site or portions of the site have a need for sub-base repairs, then that secondary number would come into play as we work to repair those areas. So that's from informational, that's all I have on the paving. I do have 2 other things I want to update on. I want to provide an update on. Number 1, just so everybody's aware, under personnel, the amending the high school dean of students job description. It's a minor amendment, but we had put in the job description that you must have, it was required to have 3 years of experience working with secondary students. Now, that could have been coaching or whatever, but we know that there's a great deal of interest in the position internally, and we think there may be some pretty good interest externally. Rather than limit the people eligible for the position through this, we'd rather make this amendment to say preferred as opposed to required, and then we can tease out in the interview process whether their experience lends itself well or whether it's a disqualifier if they are qualified for the position. So it's a minor amendment, allows us to cast a bit of a wider net on the position. Any questions on that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Looking ahead, can you foresee this position staying, or can you see it falling by the wayside and going back to a principal and an assistant principal? Because if so, I recommend that we ask for the right credentials today so that we don't run into a problem down the road when somebody says, hey, what about me? Well, you're not in the running. What do you mean? I've been here 3 years, 4 years, whatever.
Sure.
What do you think?
Good question. So the reason we're doing this is twofold, right? One, we think based on the fact that our student population has been diminishing, right, throughout the years. We're a little bit smaller, and the nature of public schools and our school in particular also in general has changed in that we have a lot more students who are going out for job placement, a lot higher population going to CTC. We have students taking full-time dual enrollment, all the things we want to see for our kids, right? So in creating this position, we believe that this is the long-term, right? That this can be done with the dean of students long-term. There's certainly a cost-saving measure here, right? Because this would be placed on the teacher's salary scale as opposed to the Act 93, which would drive a higher salary, right? As for, 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, whether it would return to an assistant principal position, that is not our vision for this position, right? Our vision for this position is that we are now moving to a dean of students position. Now, that is, we don't have a crystal ball. We have thought long and hard about whether this is something that can be successful, and we believe that it can be. We do have in the job description that an administrative certification is preferred, but I do want to be clear that we're not looking for an admin right now because we don't see this as a bridge to get through a budget crisis, right? Mm-hmm. We see this as moving forward, we're going to have a dean of students at the high school. Again, 2 years from now, we could say this is not working, right? That's possible. It's something new that we're trying. Lots of other districts are going to this. So I would say that if someone is a successful candidate, right, that does not possess an administrative certification, and they want to be prepared for the situation where if an admin job comes up, I think it's incumbent upon them to go get it. Excuse me. They would be subject to the benefits that are encompassed in the CBA, where they get tuition reimbursement. So yeah, if somebody were to get it and they had their sights on being an administrator one day, that would be their opportunity to start working towards that certificate.
I think any candidate that's being interviewed should be explained to them.
Yeah, we'll make it clear that this is, this is a dean of students position, and that if it were to evolve into something, which we don't, we don't envision that at this moment, but again, things change over time, right? Then, maybe it's incumbent upon everybody to put themselves in the position to be successful when the time comes or the opportunity
Thanks
comes.
for the clarification.
Absolutely. PFAS filtration. So we've tabled the motion to reject the bids. We've also tabled the motion to accept the bids, which means we're doing nothing today. We opened the bids yesterday. Again, they were significantly higher than had been estimated by the engineering team from Kleinfelder Century Engineering, which is, they specialize in PFAS filtration, among other filtration, and DEP. Now, the lowest bid, and this is all public knowledge, so I'll read out the bids. Regal Plumbing and Heating was the lowest at $250,700, which is about double of what the estimate was. The second lowest was Fabcor Incorporated at $309,946. And the third lowest was James T. O'Hara Incorporated at $333,500. The district has grant funds totaling approximately $65,000 to $70,000, somewhere in there, that requires a 50% match, which was going to work out perfectly with the estimates. Estimates were never a guarantee. Given these numbers right now, we would be, we would have our $60,000 or $70,000 of grant funding available, and then we would be on the hook for the full remainder of the project, which is a possibility, right? We know a couple things. We know we have to do this project. It's not a choice, right? It is a requirement through DEP in order to maintain our permit as a public water system. And as of now, we know what grant funds we have, and that's it, right? So yesterday, the conversation with DEP and Century Engineering following the bid opening, as we worked to discuss, what do we do today here? What we came to as a team, certainly it's the district's decision, but as a team, we came to exploring a few potential opportunities for funding. right? So Penvest got on the call with us yesterday and shared information. There's some options available. One, there's a low-interest loan, right? Which, talking to Mr. Caputo, he doesn't really think that that would be something that we would be going after for the, it's a 20-year loan for the residual amount, you know, it may not be worth doing that. There is a grant program that specifically covers small water systems. They have, I think you said 17 million in that fund right now, and there's no guarantees, but the district could apply and potentially get a portion of the project, if not potentially all of the project funded. We could also potentially not get any grant funding. The grant funding, however, follows federal procurement guidelines. Our bidding process, which was handled entirely by Century Engineering, and you know, again, they specialize in this. Our bid process was reflective of state requirements. Federal is far more stringent on different things, right? So to go after the federal grant that could potentially cover the entirety of the cost of this project, we would need to we would need to rebid the project using federal guidelines, right? DEP is willing to continue to cover the cost of an additional rebid of the project. There is the potential that because there's federal guidelines involved, it could come in a little bit higher. It could come in that people sharpen their pencil a little more because we're continuing to rebid. It truly depends, but that is an option that's available to us. The other option that's available to us is we just approve, install, and cover the entire cost, less the $70,000 approximately in grant funds on the district's dime. I don't have a formal recommendation right now for the board. We're going to schedule a call early next week with the team from Century Engineering and DEP because, again, this was following a bid opening, some information that we need to, you know, get to them in terms of if we want to explore the grant program. And again, there's no magic, no crystal ball we could look into to say we'll definitely get the grant. But we sound like a good candidate for at least a portion of grant funding, right? Now, that could come back where we end up owing the same amount. It's a roll of the dice, essentially.
What's the timing on that?
What's the
So timing on the grant would be, we would have to rebid the project. So we're looking at another probably 30 to 45 days. Also Century Engineering has to revamp the grant, or the bid spec.
But we would hear if we got the grant in 45 days?
No, the October, mid-October would be the time, which our consent order and agreement to have the system installed with DEP expires on October 17th. Now, based on yesterday's conversation, we're going to work with that team to talk to DEP about hopefully getting this consent order and agreement extended, right? Again, our water right now is filtered at the sources, right? So it's not like we're not filtering the water. It's just that because we're a public water system, we can't go on in perpetuity with filtering at each fountain, right? It's effective, but it's not something we could do long-term because we're a public water system. We're in a fix with this. There's no doubt about that, right? It's not a cost that we went and decided we wanted to incur. We're required under a consent order and agreement to do this, right? And we have bids. And now the other thing is, from a comparison standpoint, we're the first in the program to get here. There's no other, you know, I asked the question last time. So what are we doing with other places? Lakeland is the first. Lots of people are in the process. We were the first to test. We were the first to get into this. We're the first at this point. So it's not a comparable right now. We're not making a decision today unless we wanted to say, put it back on and accept it and pay out of the general fund for it or out of borrowed funds. But I'd like to get, rolling the dice, but chasing the grant, if we can, it might be our best option. There's high reward to it, because we may get a good portion, maybe all covered, but there's risk in that we're going to rebid, the bids are going to come in, and we may not get anything in the grant funds as well. That's where we sit right now. I wish I had clarity. I thought we were going to walk in here, bang the gavel, and approve a bid and move on. But outside of our control, you know, at 3 o'clock yesterday when we opened them. We've bid it twice now in an attempt to get the most competitive bids, and here's where we sit, with $250,000 being our lowest, and we did not anticipate a $250,000 project.
Were the three that bid yesterday different than the first round?
2 were additional. Regal and Fabcor did not bid the first round. James T. O'Hara did bid on both.
If we would go with the federal grant route, let's try to apply for it, and it doesn't work out, say we don't get anything, or it ends up being more expensive, are we able to go back to these 3 bids that we have right now, or do we have to start all over again?
I believe we'd have to start all over again.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, I'm not looking for an answer unless the answer is, Mark, we'd rather put it on the agenda and approve the bid and move forward.
I mean, my thought, and open here obviously, but if the timing is October, where we would hear back if we were able to get the grant or not, right? We're only talking a few months at a cost of which is $250,000, right? I'm also hearing you say that our water is filtered, so the water is
Correct.
fine, it's filtered at the source, which is good. My thought is, why don't we at least try to move forward with the grant, which is what, 3 months from now?
Yeah.
Timing?
Yeah.
And then if we don't get the grant, then we have to have a dialogue in terms of what our next step is. But there's an opportunity in 3 months for us to save, plus at least another month, the students aren't even in the school, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that's my initial thought, but again, open for dialogue. Anybody have any other thoughts or suggestions?
I feel the same way, but if you don't have a recommendation yet, you have another conversation you're supposed to have, I'd be interested in hearing that. The federal restrictions, like, that are tighter, would that make us better? Like, would it give us a better system?
No.
No.
No, it's more red tape,
yeah.
essentially. Federal government is always
So-
more red tape.
Mark, what did our representatives say? Did you run this by them? Election year and all?
So, on my list of phone calls, and we've talked to, obviously, our representatives about various needs of the building, and they were, I think, helpful in getting us this school improvement grant. So I do intend to talk to our representatives. I also intend to talk to my contact at PDE with the school environmental repairs grant, which is what we got, to see if we would not be a really good candidate. I think there is a recognition at DEP, there is a recognition with PDE that, you know, our school district is not alone. Certainly not every, lots of school districts with well water are facing this issue, and we're just ahead of everybody. And so, you know, the budget is, from what I'm hearing, the state budget is pretty close, and it may include funds so we may be able to, maybe a good candidate to tack on additional grant funds. You know, that takes a long time, but we have a lot of unanswered questions right now. The only thing we could really do right now is just say, put this on the agenda and approve right now. It would be premature to reject bids and rebid right now. I think that, you know, having that conversation, especially if we're leaning in the direction of federal grant funds, pursuing those through Penvest, then, you know, I can have that conversation just to tease out a little more, you know, what we need to be thinking about. There's a lot of moving parts. And DEP, to what degree they're willing to move on the consent order and agreement, informally, I hear that they're very sympathetic because school districts with tight budgets across the state are being hit with this added huge expense. So there's a recognition there. I think that, you know, there needs to be some flexibility. But that, at the end of the day, DEP will be the ones who decide whether a consent order agreement is extended. So like I said, unless we're putting the bid on, I would say we table both. Let me get more information, and come back to you, and we can make a determination on what our next step is, and then go from there. And an important thing, the bids written into the spec, I'm told from Century Engineering, is that the bids are actually, can be held for 120 days. So we could come back and approve these if we find out, listen, you're not going to get a grant, like this is the best you're going to do. We can come back and approve these bids. So we're not rejecting them. We're keeping it open.
Anybody disagree with that approach? Anybody want to put the motion on to pay for immediately, or disagree with having them off? Bobby? Joe, you all right? Yeah. Okay. So we'll leave them tabled for now, and we'll find out what the federal grant process.
And it's a state program, federal money.
Right,
Penn
right.
Vest state program, but federal money, so.
Right, but it sounds like there's some homework we can do here with at least our,
Yeah. Yep.
some of our representatives. Okay. Any questions, comments? Anything else for informational items?
No, that is all for informational items.
Okay. We do not have any student recognition this morning. Public comment on agenda items. Rose?
Mark, can you read those figures again for the...
Yeah, the three numbers for that one.
Regal and- I got O'Hara at 3335. What was Regal and Fabcor?
Regal was 250,700, and that was the lowest. And you needed Fabcor, you said?
Yeah,
Fabcor was 309,946.
Okay. On number 2 on the personnel, do you have a salary for this dean of students yet?
That salary will fall on the teacher's scale. So whatever they would fall based on years of service and credits. That's our preliminary approach.
Okay, so let's go to C for this paving. Is it Century Engineering that did the specs?
Rose, if you want to give me all the questions, then we'll go back if you have additional
It's
questions.
gonna kind of go back and forth. So if you add these three together without any adjustments, it's over 300,000. So I want to know it was Century Engineering, and you're talking about number 2 change and number 3 change. Well, don't they usually drill boreholes to check? Why wasn't that done beforehand? Because now you're coming up with an additional $300,000, and we already have $1,806,000 debt. And now you're gonna spend another $300,000. I could see if it was $3,000, but $300,000. So, and I wanna know who did that, and what about the boreholes? And shouldn't you have done the boreholes, or the check, before you put number 2 and number 3 on? Because now you're gonna have to amend this motion, because how are you going to vote on it? You don't even have it clarified whether it's gonna be, when they go out and they're gonna check, it should be specific. I mean, I'm not into blacktop, but I'm just, just common knowledge out there. So then after you answer that, then I have another question on that. Now, I brought it up at the last meeting, and it was brought up at the township meeting. When is Scott Township gonna get some millings? Mark, you said Greenfield got some, so when are they gonna get back to and give Scott Township some millings?
Yeah, I haven't spoken, nobody reached out to me directly, Rose, from Scott Township. I don't know if
Let me
anybody.
take, let's get
Yeah,
all the
go ahead,
questions
go
and
ahead,
then.
yep.
All right, well, I'm reaching out to you as a resident and a taxpayer, school, township, whatever. It should have been included in the packet. Okay. And number F, what is the cost on this photography? I didn't get a chance to look through the enclosures, it might be in there, and plus I forgot my glasses. so I'm struggling here. And I'm glad that you incorporated the meeting into, because you really didn't have a work session, but you had a discussion. Because I was wondering how any of you were going to address any of these without having a work session.
Any others, Ross? Okay to respond?
Well, I can see what his answer is.
Okay, yeah, Rose, I know you follow up on the one. So Century Engineering did not do the paving. Century Engineering did the water filtration. It was BDA Architects was the architectural firm that did the paving project. Your question about,
Who are they again? I didn't hear you.
oh, I'm sorry, BDA,
Oh, BDA,
yes.
okay.
With regard to boreholes, which I think relates back to, I'm trying to go in order, but with regard to boreholes, again, I'm like you, I don't do paving for a living, but what I've learned, and I would reasonably say, is you can drill a borehole here and over there, but have your soft spot be here, right? And so while if we found that the whole lot was a giant soft spot, right, then perhaps there would have been value. But to drill in one spot, not another. Now, again, I'm speaking off the cuff, right? Because I know that the soft spots are not uniform where they are. They were found in certain areas where the sub-base is no good, right? So in terms of drilling boreholes as a preventative, to have a more accurate number on the project, I'll get an answer for you. I'm not 100% sure, but it would intuitively, to me, it would not seem to be something that would actually generate an accurate number because of the fact that you can't drill everywhere, right? The only way to truly know whether your sub-base is good or bad is to excavate the pavement. Now, one of the things we knew going into this was it took one walk around and you knew that this parking lot was destroyed top to bottom, right? We knew that going in. We knew we were going to need a ton of work under the ground. I mean, it's in the back, it's a dirt road over there. So the reason for breaking it out, and I know you said 2 and 3, it's actually 1 and 2 that are correlated, those two numbers, which would add up to 225, right? But instead of approving a change order to do that entire area, full reconstruction for $225,000, it's broken down that it's approved for the milling and paving of the base and the pavement and repaving. And then there's a caveat that the board is approving where if the engineer gets in there and says that the sub-base is no good here, it's too soft, then we have that approved on the engineer's recommendation to complete that, because we can't, it would be foolish to make that kind of an investment and then lay pavement over a bad sub-base. So that's the approach. Change order number 3 relates to the front, and we know for a fact that area is bad. We just don't know if going down a foot will take care of it, or if we're gonna need to go down 2 feet. So that's the answer for those two.
So, Mark, maybe just a question to
Yep.
Rose's point there. So I think we'll just use number 3 for the example. So we're estimating $74,000 for number 3 if they have to go down 2 feet. And
Yes.
I think what Rose's, and I understand what Rose's question is. We truly don't know that. So we're thinking 1 foot, but you're putting on here 2. So if we go less than that, we didn't spend the money.
Right.
What happens if it needs to be more than 2? Or, a couple of feet? Or is the plan to have, because the cost will be higher than that?
Yes, we'll be back here.
We'll be back here
With
to
a
have
change
another
order.
bit discussed.
Yeah, we'd be back here for that. The Scott Township with the millings. So we were never contacted by Scott Township, to my knowledge, about millings.
Mark, just to clarify, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The municipalities, so we're talking about, not the residents of Greenfield or or Scott Township. The millings are part of the actual bid from the construction company. It's built in. They own the millings. If we wanted to keep the millings, then the cost would have been, for the project, would have been different, it would have been higher, but they own the millings. So when we're referring to somebody reaching out from Greenfield or Scott Township or any of the others, it would be the municipalities, not so much the actual residents. So I just want to clarify. So
Yeah, I'm going to contact Scott Township, and I mentioned to Joe yesterday, to see if we could put them in touch with Krieger. I mean, we would like all of our, because I think German, Mayfield, Carbondale Township could all say, right, we want millings too. They're not, again, we could have built that into the spec and paid a higher price for paving, because that would have increased the price, obviously, because there's a value to the millings.
What was
right?
the value? Did you ever get a value?
I don't know what the specific value was, or what it would have been, but I'm just saying, it, broadly speaking, right, it would have increased the price of the project. We served at, we were contacted by Greenfield, and I will say, maybe shame on me, maybe I should have contacted each of the boroughs, and if that's the, or each of the townships, and if that's the case, I apologize, right? I've never done a paving project before, and we want to be a good neighbor, and we try to, our communities are good to us, we want to be good to our communities, right? But, where we find ourselves is, Greenfield had reached out, we put them in touch with Krieger, and they were able to work something out. Now that I'm hearing informally, because I still don't think I have any, but I'm hearing informally that Scott Township would be interested in some millings. We're going to put them in touch with, if I can confirm that, we're going to put them in touch with Krieger, right? We don't want to make the assumption, because, well, I guess
It
it's,
was brought up at the township meeting.
it's got to come to us.
Well, I was under the impression that they already had contacted.
No, but again, we're not so big that we can't make contact. I'm going to make contact, right? I can't promise anything. We're going to put them in touch with Krieger, and hopefully it can work out, because again, our townships are good to us. We want to be good to them too, right? Like,
Mark, just a comment. So, Rose, one of the things we don't know is if, like, Greenfield reached out, I don't know if there was a cost there. All we simply did, we kind of played marriage broker. We said, here's Krieger's number, and Greenfield give them a call. And I think that's how they made contact. So I don't know if they're providing them free of charge. I don't know if they're charging them for the millings. Like, all we did was link them together, right? I think us, to Mark's point, us as a board, as a district, we want to keep the project, overall project, reasonable. I don't think we want to incur any additional cost. But also, we want to be able to, if we could, provide the millings. We don't own them because it's part of the bid. So I think what we did ask is have them to make contact, at least when Greenfield reached out. So we're not saying that they're free. I don't know. I think that's a conversation between both.
Well,
But if it came up at the township meeting,
The township was interested.
yeah, if it came up at the township meeting, we'll take that. It's a great point. We'll take it as an action item and be proactive. And if I can ask Dr. Wine to reach out to the supervisors or the council of the, we already, Greenfield, so the other four, Carbondale Township, Mayfield, German, and Scott Township. And then if they are interested, we'll provide the phone number to the lead at Krieger, and they can work out from there. Sound good?
yeah, yep.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to this, when you talked about the.
Rose, could I just answer your photography questions? I have it queued up.
I thought you were done.
No. So your question on photography, it's $12,256. That is all PCCD grant funding covered. So there's no cost to the district for that work.
Okay, so let's go back to the engineer and doing the parking lot. So the engineer missed the upper parking lot. Well, they should be, and I'm sure that an engineer or any professional company must have liability insurance, so that was their mistake. So why should we have to pay for it? Put a claim in with their insurance company for the $184,000 that you're not gonna have to vote for, that you're gonna have to spend taxpayer money that we don't even have. It was their mistake. Probably not intentional, but they need to pay attention if they're gonna be professionals to do it. It's not $84 or $8,000, it's $184,000.
Do you have any more? Because I could address that. I just want to make sure we
Yeah,
get.
go ahead.
Okay. So you're frustrated, we're frustrated. That should not have been missed. It was, right? That should not have been missed. And as far as them covering that cost, I had a preliminary conversation with Attorney Finucci, and we're continuing the conversation to see if there's any legal action that could potentially be taken, right, to recoup cost. Not approving it on the agenda, the way to go about that, and I'm not saying that could be done, I'm saying the school district will explore whether or not there's anything that we can do, right? But it still needs to be either approved or denied, and completed or not completed, and then, then we could find out. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One is the choice to do that or not to do that. Can we kick that for another year? Sure. But it's not the kind of thing we can kick. It's not a nice to have. That lot needs to be done, right? And that thing. So the next year or two, we're doing it. If we were to kick it, which we have the option to do, we then have to drive paving equipment on $1.1 million worth of brand-new blacktop, right? And as far as, the cost to the taxpayers, no doubt about it that there is a cost to the taxpayers. This whole project is taxpayer-funded, right? This will also be a cost to the taxpayers, right? The only way for it not to be is to not do it, which we don't have that option. We don't have to do it now, but we have to do it in, it's not, again, it's pretty destroyed also, right? And we wouldn't want to run the risk on our $1.1 million investment. Or if their insurance were to pay for it. The decision in front of the board today, though, is the same exact decision that would have, or I shouldn't say, should have been in front of the board 6 weeks ago. It's no different, right? When we bid the project, we did a base bid, and then we did bid alternates for the runways, the parking lot here, and what we had thought was the parking lot up there. Well, it turns out that wasn't in the spec, right? But either way, the costs that we're looking at would have been the same 6 weeks ago, and we would have made a determination as to whether that part of the project was too expensive or not too expensive. So it should not have been missed, and it was, right? That is something we're going to obviously look into, and we've spoken to BDA. It was an omission on their part, and it wasn't, as Rose says, it wasn't on purpose, but they acknowledged that they made a sizable error here, right? But nothing has changed in terms of the decision in front of the board. If it was, too expensive 6 weeks ago to do that, we would have denied that bid alternate. If it's too expensive today to do it, we can deny that we can deny this change order. It's just coming to us in a different form, not the way it should be. I'll grant that every day of the week. But that is essentially the same thing. It's a decision that still sits with us. And at this point, if we're doing all this paving, again, if we don't do it, and that's an option, we're going to have to do it soon. It's not something we're adding on or we're going to have to do it soon, and we're going to have to drive over brand-new blacktop to do it. And I will say, we have the change order for soft spots. We have to be prepared with this project that when the rest of this gets excavated, there could be future change orders, right? Matter of fact, you would say it's probably likely that there's going to be something unexpected in a project this size. It's just the nature of doing a project this size. Maybe it's not, and we're all happy for the rest of until the project is done. But we just have to be prepared for the fact that you don't know until you pull pavement up. There's no way to know, and it's not like this is in decent shape. It's bad. So that's my roundabout answer for everybody.
Okay, well, that gives a couple other questions. Who's inspecting this job out here to make sure that it is done and that there is enough of a base? Who's inspecting it so that 5 years from now, it doesn't come up and maybe half of you'll be gone? I'm sure I'll still be here complaining. So who's inspecting the job to make sure that it's enough? Again, I'm not familiar with, what specs are supposed to be, but who's inspecting it? Are you just taking the word of the contractor? And if you're taking the word of the contractor, what kind of a warranty do we have? You're saying, oh, well, you're gonna have to drive over it. Well, you're gonna have a lot of driving over it. So what kind of warranty do you have? What if you have to have trucks come in to do something? So is that saying that, oh, well, it's not a good enough job, so they can't drive over it? And who's inspecting this job? Make sure that the right materials are being used, the right inches of whatever material. Who's doing that?
All right, Rose, is that all the questions?
Well, I think so. I don't know. If we keep talking, I don't.
Okay, I want to answer as many of your questions as possible. I recognize that this is big. I get it, and we're trying to answer as best we can here. So the engineer from BDA is who inspects this.
Yeah, the same guy that made a mistake and is costing us $184,000 extra. So how much faith do any of us have in him?
Well, again, that is who is inspecting. That's who we're currently under contract with. So we have an engineer who is inspecting this. It's not us eyeballing it or relying on the contractor. With regard to the comment about, so what if trucks are going on it, listen, we're not saying trucks can't go on it, right? We're saying that, is it wise to run paving equipment? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of traffic. There's going to be loaded school buses, there's going to be a lot of traffic, and it's got to be durable, and it should withstand the test of time, right? Do we want to additionally drive paving equipment and milling machines and loaded trucks over it? We can do that, and if it breaks down, then, you know, that we're going to have to have a conversation. But is that ideal, is the question. So that's the question that we have in front of us right now. So those are my answers to that, is the engineer from BDA, who is still our architect on this, despite the fact that they missed that section. That's still the engineer that's on this. We did not try to get a new engineer on this project, and I don't know, you know, we're in the middle of the project. If we want to consider whether this is, you know, the right firm for future, that's something that we're all going to be discussing. But in this project, to change engineers right now,
I didn't say you should change them, you should just make sure that it follows.
we're doing that.
Okay,
We're doing
what
it.
kind of warranty?
I'm not sure offhand what the warranty is on a paving job. I'd have to look at the specs.
Do we have any other public comment? Anyone? Okay. Mr. Boyarsky just stepped out for a second, so we'll give him a minute before we go back into the motions. So we'll just hold for a second here.
Do you want to move forward in his absence, and then just, he can join when he gets back in?
Yeah, he's our secretary.
Okay.
Let me see if he left me a message.
You want to know how them millings really work?
After the meeting, I do. After the meeting, I do, actually.
I've got firsthand knowledge.
Okay, all right, after the meeting, I do. Do you want me to do roll call?
Yeah, we could do that. How about if,
You want me to do something?
Oh,
no,
we're
is
good.
he coming?
He's coming.
Okay,
you're
Mrs.
back.
Blair, she's back with us. Okay. All right. We'll move into the motions. I will take the first motion. I'll make a motion to approve agenda items. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion 1A passes. 2A, please.
Mr.
Zoll?
President,
Want me to go?
Yep, Mr. Sullivan?
oh, go ahead.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to amend the high school Dean of Students job description per enclosure 2A.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Benesky.
Yes.
Boyarsky, yes. Morrison.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Tremback Ball.
Yes.
2A passes. We don't have a 3, we don't have a 4. We'll move to 5C. 5C, please.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the following change orders from Krieger Construction Incorporated for the paving project at Lakeland Junior Senior High School. Change order number 1 to mill and pave the upper parking lot and access road, $184,452.50. 2, change order number 2 to repair and reconstruct the upper parking lot and access road as determined by the engineer upon removal of existing pavement at $41,450. Change order number 3 to replace unsuitable base material as determined by the engineer upon removal of existing pavement, $74,020.
Second?
On the question? Roll call, please.
Benesky.
Yes.
Boyarsky, yes. Morrison.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Tremback Ball.
Yes.
5C passes. 5E, please.
Mr. President, I motion to approve the 2026-2027 Lakeland School District MDS program contract and corresponding fee agreement per enclosure 5B.
Second?
Question? Roll call?
Benesky.
Yes.
Boyarsky, yes. Morrison.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Tremback Ball.
Yes.
5E passes. 5F, please.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the quote from To the Heart Photography LLC to install window coverings at district schools using PCCD competitive safety grant funding per enclosure 5C.
Second.
Question? Roll call?
Benesky?
Yes.
Boyarsky? Yes. Morrison?
Yes.
Roberts?
Yes.
Solomon?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Trembeck Ball?
Yes.
5F passes. Dr. Wine, do we have any miscellaneous?
We do not.
Public comment? Rose?
Could you make sure for next month, well, no, you're not, well.
Au-
next
August. I'm sorry, the August meeting?
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on this from the liability from the engineer and the warranty on the parking lot, on the paving. So that years down, oh, well, they didn't put this base in or that one or whatever.
Any other public comment?
And would you please make sure that's in the minutes?
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No?
Don't
Okay.
be rolling your eyes, Joe.
I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Mr. Secretary, please note a 10:53 PM adjournment time.